Yes, I love this land. It takes my breath away.
Welcome to Texas 10. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Doodling Steve.
He's not very good at that. But I will tell you, we love art. Neither of us can create art by drawing or painting. I mean, you can take pictures, but we especially love public art. And so that's why we're here today. And we have Julie Cervantes from Creative Waco. And we're excited to talk about public art.
All right. And so, Julie, why don't you start just by introducing yourself and saying what Creative Waco is?
I'm Julie Cervantes. I'm with Creative Waco. I'm Director of Strategic Development, and that normally entails a lot of everything, but grant making, and my biggest role is public art. So Creative Waco is an arts agency where we help advocate for artists and find them work within City of Waco, McLennan County. Okay. And we help with the sponsors or clients and a lot of work through the city and help act as the middleman. Artists are great at what they do, but when it comes to contracts and communication and
different skill sets, right?
All of that right. It gets a little sticky.
Creative.
Right.
Come on.
And so it's sort of formalized the process. We've part of our ethic is we've traveled all over Texas, and one of the first things we always seek out are the murals in each town. We got a picture up here. What are we looking at here?
That's a lot of our favorite one. That was our first one from our program called Art Apprenticeship.
Okay.
And Art Apprenticeship is such a cool program because it's not just about creating a piece of art for a wall for a client. This is a program where we get high school teens, juniors and seniors, and during the summer, it's a paid internship where they work under the guise of normally 2 to 3 professional artists, and they teach them how to create a mural, but they gain other valuable skills like project management, creating an inventory list, communication skills when it comes to speaking to clients and trying to meet their needs. They even get OSHA certification. And the end result is the mural, but they come away with so many other skills.
Okay, well, I did mowed lawns when I was in high school, so I'm jealous. But
and you probably did the marketing.
Well, like she said, the first thing we do in a town is we look for public art, and we love, love, love the murals. And we have a story. We were in a little town called Rankin, Texas. And when I tell you that little town is painted up, it is painted up. The small story of it is I posted the pictures, and one of my high school friends said, "Oh my gosh, Melissa, that's my son." And Matt Tumlinson is an artist that we've actually interviewed, and now he makes his living as an artist, but started in this little town that allowed him to practice. And I mean, if you saw his murals, they aren't just practice, they're amazing. And I always wonder, is it just one person or is it a whole team? And so talk to us a little bit about the murals and how they're created.
Well, 10 years ago, before Creative Waco, there was just independent artists. You'd be surprised how much talent is here in Waco. Mm-hmm. We've had so many. So there'd just be a little pop-ups here and there. But since Creative Waco under Fiona, who's phenomenal. I call her the patron saint of arts.
And now she is your boss, right? Okay, all right.
She's my boss.
Shout out to Fiona. Take care of Julie.
Always.
Julie loves you, Fiona.
Oh, if you ever meet her, everybody adores Fiona.
And Fiona's just an artistic name, I'm going to say.
And she's British, she's from the UK, so. But before her, we did have some murals, but she really helped put the energy behind things, and she's infatigue. She doesn't get tired.
Right.
And she just fought really hard. She's really great about networking and getting together with people to help them understand when it comes to city officials and even on a statewide level. She's the president of the Texans for the Arts.
Oh, wow.
And we just got record funding from the state of Texas, thanks to her and her team on the state level. But ever since she's taken over and helped organize and just put some groundwork behind things, and the public art in Waco has just flourished.
Well, and that's sort of something that we've noticed all over the state that frankly surprised us because, and I think you were talking before we got here about Fiona is from Europe, and public art is something. We spent 3.5 years in Europe, and you see great works of art. I mean, some big name artists. I don't know if the church considers it public, but the Sistine Chapel,
Yeah, that's
the
pretty
David,
big.
you can just see it out in the square. And I don't know that Americans have always incorporated that into our value or commercial system or whatnot. And so talk a little bit about the importance of public art, if you want to use Waco specifically or just more generally in terms of how it helps develop a town.
Yes, public art, it's beautiful because it's for the public, it's for everybody, and it's about helping to create an identity, help push along the culture. I know, like here, for example, in Waco, we didn't have a lot going on. And when I had told family when I first moved here, they're like, Waco? and of course, you hear about that thing that happened like in the 1900s. And like, 1900s, get over it. No.
Okay, now you're making me feel old, Julie. The 1900s.
I know.
I talk like that for the 1800s, and now we're talking about,
Oh, no,
I was alive when that terrible thing happened, but that's okay. Keep going.
I was too. I just try not to, like, trying to be cool like the other kids. But before, when I told family that I was moving here, so many people were like, what does Waco have to offer? And once you get into any place, you do find the beauty, but now we're able to show it. And because you could tell people things, but picture's worth 1,000 words. And
I love that.
Right.
Pictures are worth 1,000 words. And so many of the places we've been, a lot of towns now have the greetings, welcome to, there's interactive murals, like in Austin, the I love you so much mural. So for so many years, people felt like art was unattainable and you had to be wealthy or, to go to some of the museums, people couldn't always go to the museum or you had to be educated. And what I love about public art is it is for everybody.
Yes.
So,
yeah, it's for everybody, and we all get to experience and we all get exposed. And a lot of times with public art, you're exposed to creativity. You're exposed to different perspectives. Sometimes it brings about awareness about something. And it does. It helps bring communal value, a civic pride. And a lot of times when public art is put up, like a mural, they're the least likely to experience graffiti, because even teenagers, they can respect it.
Right, the graffitiists respect the art that is there.
Yes, and that's a beautiful piece. We're not going to mess with that. So a lot of times it is used as a deterrent from just random graffiti.
Right.
And their studies have been shown that if you have public art, it's less likely, not completely impossible, but less likely to experience the random tagging.
Right.
Do some of the murals, because there's so many more murals now, I think the really old ones we've seen, a lot of times they're advertisements or, because that's how they advertise the old Dr. Pepper, the Coca-Cola, the one you love. The
one I love. There's 27 that I love.
The Bull Durham.
The Bull Durham, right.
So in small towns, you see a lot of that. And then, you did see a lot of graffiti. Is some of the murals that we see today, is some of that born from the graffiti? Is that kind of an art in itself?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Mick Burson, he was an artist that was here in Waco. He now lives in New Mexico, but he would get permission to tag up a wall, and so many businesses just loved his work that he grew from that. And he actually, you mentioned Dr. Pepper, he was the designer behind the Dr. Pepper Museum's really big mural that faces the tracks. And it just was beautiful to see how he went from geometric shapes and was able to incorporate that to have something that was for Dr. Pepper, who was a very understanding entity, and allowing the artists to do their work and represent what they.
So maybe it righted some ships, some kids who just like to spray paint, and they became artists.
Well, not just. I mean, some of it is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I do think that there's a couple of things going on. So there's a commercial interest in murals, right? There are some that just flat out advertise a product. There is the sort of civic welcome to our town. And we've seen lots of those. I think one in El Paso we saw was Sunset Heights is a neighborhood, or Decatur, which is a
it's
great
great.
one. And it actually has a sculpture next to the Welcome to Decatur thing. So those are just civic. But then there's also sort of cultural ones, I would say, that represent a certain aspect of the culture. And those are the ones that really grab me because I think they show our diversity and just they remind you of things. And so there's one downtown here. It's called Wildflowers 2, I think. Talk a little bit about, because I think it's the most stunning one in Waco. So talk a little bit about how that happened and what it's supposed to be talking about.
I know. Look, that was another one under our program for art apprenticeships. So the one we discussed earlier was our first, and that was our second to last one that we've recently been working on. And this is the client was Hotel Herringbone, and it's a diverse group of guys that turned these containers into this beautiful hotel. It's
Yes,
so stunning.
it
definitely.
And
The
a
Red
wonderful
Herring
restaurant.
and Lucky Bucks, they got it all going down there. It's on 4th Street
Retail,
in Waco.
yeah.
And they're
So-
big supporters of the arts and art apprenticeship. They're helping us host an event this upcoming week. They're phenomenal. But they let our apprentices and our professional artists work on a design. But then they brought in this artist from Hawaii, and I can't remember his name at the moment, but he flew in for just a short amount of time. And the two girls in that are the apprentices are from that program.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that. So their faces are the girls who painted
Yes,
it?
right.
Two of our
Oh, that
apprentices.
is
It's
so
a selfie.
cool.
It's a huge selfie.
I wonder what they think. If you haven't seen that one, it's. I wish we could show you, but it's big. We'll have it on our show probably. But
No, it'll be on this show.
well, I mean, yeah. But it is just beautiful, and they are so lifelike, and they are gorgeous girls. I can't imagine being the girl walking by and seeing myself. Hey, there I am again, and I painted myself.
Well,
Big and large.
All right, so that's interesting because in that project, it obviously, I think it probably benefits Hotel Herringbone because it's a beautiful piece of
It's
art
gorgeous.
and it goes with their overall decor, but it doesn't say welcome to Hotel Herringbone or rent a room or anything like that. So in your work as Creative Waco, how do you deal with folks and they sound like they're already convinced, but convince people that are on the commercial side the benefit of doing those sort of projects?
It's tough. Like one of my friends that likes to say is we act as the translators. And there's a lot of times everybody appreciates art. They just don't know what boundaries to explore, where to push it, what they want to communicate. And a lot of times it's up to artists, or in this case, Creative Waco. We help them translate and help them, and it's all about educating them and helping them understand. And it's a lot of discussions, it's a lot of communication. And a lot of times our people who want public art, they've been around our circle for 10 plus years. And then later, once they finally understand, and it's through lots of relationship building, they're able to rise and get to that. And it's just so cool when you get to see them where they fully appreciate and understand.
Well, and we get the benefit of
Yes.
it, right? And so I live in Waco, so I don't rent rooms at the Hotel Herringbone, but I do think it attracts people and makes it a more enjoyable experience to be in the city, more likely to come back, that sort of thing. So I think there is a indirect return on investment, but I'm sure that's a lot of paint, so
Right.
it probably costs something to actually do. And so,
No cheap matter.
right, yeah, and you got to fly the artist in from Hawaii and all of that sort of stuff. Another thing that I'm interested in is, so just going back to Waco, because that's what we see a lot of, there are some historic murals in town. And my favorite is in East Waco, and it's a guy with a wheelbarrow, and it's a Bible verse about lift my burden, and that was particularly appropriate to the people living in East Waco at the time. But it's just sitting on the side of a building. It's been there for who knows how long. How do those things get protected,
Yes.
if at all?
Question. I don't even think they put any protection over it. Again, it goes to the tagging. People respect it and don't want to touch it. I can't speak on that one in particular, but Creative Waco, we were part of this beautiful initiative where Banksy, the famous street artist, he had a piece that he had done in Sacramento, San Francisco, and they had city ordinances that you couldn't have tagging. So that wall had to come down. But the person who funded that, they had it go on tour, and Creative Waco helped the process to have the Banksy here.
Right, we saw it.
Okay, so I want to back up on that story because what you're saying is San Francisco or whatever town that it was originally done in said, no, we can't have a Banksy as
Right?
okay.
But Waco, anyone who questions Waco, Creative Waco is helping. Is that something that Creative Waco would get involved in? Because the mural Steve's talking about is also one of my favorites, and I would be heartbroken if anything ever happened to it.
Yeah. Well, it depends on who owns the building. They do have... I had to go do the Vera Act, and sometimes artists their work can be protected, but a lot of times at the end of the day, it depends on who it belongs to. We had a really cool mural by Scooby Billy. He's a talented artist. You've probably seen a lot of his work around town, and he had done Edward Scissorhands on this hair salon. But then it was purchased by a real estate company.
Yes,
and
yes,
they
I know
painted over
exactly.
it.
Yes,
but that wasn't that was their building now, and they
didn't want to. They didn't want to advertise hair cutting. They wanted to.
They're a real estate firm.
Right. Well, and I guess that is one of the differences when you have pure commercial art is it is subject to the building owner's needs. When you have true public art, it is more about the city and the community, and there's a way to protect that. I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting.
We'll talk a little bit about the process of choosing the artist when the city works with someone or a building and they've decided we're gonna create some public art. How does Creative Waco, how does the city choose the artist that will create that piece?
It depends on the complexity of the project. Like I know for right now, we're in the middle of creating a sculpture for a fire station. And there's a lot of pride behind it. It's near Baylor, so they do want to encapsulate the messaging there. They do need to make sure that whoever we choose has experience. So the first thing we did is we did a national search, an RFQ, request for qualifications. And right now we're sifting through that, and we had over 90 artists apply.
Wow.
Okay.
And that's a doozy to go through. But once we have a panel go through it, right now it's just the structural integrity to make sure that they have experience. So the architects are behind the building, and we have city officials. They're looking through to make sure it can be done well because it's not a cheap venture. Once it gets narrowed down to that, we do go through the artistic panel, and the artistic panel it has artists, it has people, members from Creative Waco, members from the city of Waco, city council, the fire station, because we got to represent them, and we have all these entities there, and then they are going to look at it from different perspectives because this is for the fire station and the firefighters, but it's also for the community, and this is something that's being funded by the city, so all these perspectives have to be taken into account. So once we go through that, then we narrow it down to 3. So we went from 90, and all these phases we've had to narrow down to 3. And then we'll ask those designers, those artists, to create a design, and then they'll have to go through review from there. And then...
Okay, now that seems heartbreaking if I'm an artist to go from 90 to get down to 3, and then maybe you're the second one. That's really tough.
And they are paid. That's the big thing about Creative Waco. The artists get paid for their work. So when they do create the design, they will be
makes me feel better. That makes me feel better. Right. And so so a camel is a horse designed by a committee. I've heard that before, right? And so you've got this process, and that seems like it could be a little frustrating for artists to go through having to deal with all of that. Talk about how you walk them through and sort of motivate them to give you their best when it does seem like the artistic soul might rebel a little bit against the corporateness in it.
And that's where we are. We're the translators, the communicators for both sides.
I like that.
We help the clients understand. Okay, we think this is what you want. And we draw out lots of questions, and we know what kind of questions to get from them to make sure that this is expectation versus reality, and then we're able to communicate that to the artist to help break those down. You're always going to come across hiccups, but we try to help smooth the landing there and act as the communicators for them, because it is tough, and a lot of artists don't like commission work because you're trying to create something that somebody else has in their mind that they oftentimes don't know how to tell you what they want. A lot of artists, they try to just create what they do, and they find their niche, and if someone wants it, that's fine, but that's not always reality.
Okay, so for a muralist, right, that's great if I can go buy a canvas and work on a canvas, but a muralist can't just attack a building and say, I've got this vision in my mind, although I guess some do. It's the whole graffiti thing. But are there muralists that just market to business owners and say, hey, I noticed you've got a big blank wall, I could do this for you? Or, I mean, that's...
Yeah, if you're lucky and you have an understanding client that's like, just do your magic, that's a dream world, and it happens.
Okay.
But when it's a no cheap endeavor, so
Right.
a lot of times the client is going to have high expectations, and there are a lot of bumps in the road.
Well,
So how do you find the mural? I mean, there are so many people now that are getting into painting murals. I mean, I've noticed over just even the 5 years that we've traveled, used to, you would see a mural, but now, I mean, they're signed and you can see it is a piece of art. So how do you find the muralists that might be interested in creating a piece of public art?
A lot of, like, for example, here in Waco, Creative Waco, we have creative directory. So anytime someone comes to us, we steer them right to the creative directory. And it's not just for muralists, sculptors, private tutors, even venues. I know Fort Worth, they have this platform where if you're looking for an artist to hire, they have something already set up for you. So a really good arts agency will have a directory made up for it to help you with that, and they oftentimes come with a guidelines and frequently asked questions, like, so you think you want to create a mural? And it helps them understand it's a big process, and it's a big project. And I have never come across a mural that didn't have some sort of crazy story at the end.
well, so that goes a little bit, I think, to the origin story of Creative Waco, sort of why it exists. And it's not so much murals, but it was sculptures, I believe, that started the whole process. And we've been all throughout Texas, and we see small towns that I'm sure can't afford to have an agency like Creative Waco, to Fort Worth and Dallas, and I'm sure they have got huge bureaucracies. But it does seem like we're representative of what's going on in public art, especially in mid-sized towns. And again, we love it, but tell us a little bit about how Creative Waco got started and sort of the sculpture aspect of it.
So Creative Waco, Fiona, she was the founder, and I know it was the Robinsons. They wanted to have some sculptures created downtown in Indian Springs Park, and when they started working with the city, there's just so many things that kept coming their way. And that's when I know people turn to Fiona as like, this arts agency thing that you did in Scotland. Tell us more about that. And so I believe that was their first major project was they were able to find the artist. It was an artist, Robert Summers from Glenrose. I think he's from here in Texas.
Okay.
And they were able to help create that. But prior to that, when the city tried to take it on themselves, not having the experience, it was becoming a struggle. So that's when they went to Fiona, and that was where Creative Waco.
And those are iconic. If you are in Waco and you go down to Indian Springs and then on to Cameron Park along the river walk along the river, you will see people get out. There are these steers. It's a trail.
Right. The Chisholm Trail.
The Chisholm Trail. That's it.
It's like a trail.
It's like
was
a trail. Yeah.
Yes.
But there are these huge longhorns, and they're so great because they're somewhat interactive. Right. You'll see kids that get on top of them. they are beautiful bronzes.
I know on
Beautiful.
Brazos nights when they have the music down there, you can look around and you'll see all the kids and they want to be put up on them.
I
and
might
be
have
a-
tried. I didn't get
Right,
up
be
there.
a cowboy. And I don't know, I think they are larger than life. I think they're
Yes.
bigger than an actual steer usually is, but they are iconic. The Chisholm Trail crossed at that point. And
It's
so
it's right at the suspension bridge. And
right,
they're
so it's
beautiful.
historic, and it tells a lot about the way Waco was, and that's great. And now, lining Cameron Park are sort of more sculptures. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yeah. One thing about the Chisholm Trail sculpture, that again, the beauty of public art is that is a source of gathering.
It
and
is.
that has helped bring people. There's so many festivals there. There's so many people who have picnics there. And that piece of beautiful public art right there by the bridges is a natural gathering place, and which speaks to the social cohesion and helping to bring civic pride. And that's just the beauty of it.
Yes.
But to continue on from that, Creative Waco is behind the zoo sculptures. And it's 1 mile of zoo sculptures, 28 of them, that lead to our Cameron Park Zoo. And that was just another thing that was created. Unfortunately happened right in 2020. There's all sorts of bumps in the road for that.
I can imagine.
maneuvering around that. And that helped just extend the public art. So with the Chisholm Trail steers that we have there as a beautiful spot for gathering, it continues, and it's like breadcrumbs, and it leads people further out into our community.
Right. Well, both of those. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would say I love sculpture gardens, and to have a sculpture garden again that's accessible to everyone, I think is remarkable. We were just in Abilene, and they have a similar story, and all of their sculpture garden is storybooks, and it goes all along, their downtown area, and sometimes just one little thing inspires someone and outgrows even more art. I love that.
Right. I was going to say, it did, when you said that about the social gathering point, we walk on the river, and so we'll walk and we'll see people taking pictures, and you just naturally stop and start to talk to them, and you'll find they're visiting. A lot of times they're staying at the Hilton right across the street, and they're visiting from here, or they're from this conference, and it does seem... okay, I'm going to be a little grander than Waco might normally be, but if you're in Paris or if you're in Rome, you meet people all over the world, and you'll talk about the Tivoli Fountain or the David if you're in
The Eiffel Tower,
the Eiffel Tower, and so I think maybe we are catching on, right? So that's great. And
it just brings so much joy. Public art does, and there's paintings that are humorous, they're funny, like we said, there's interactive, and then there's some that are like almost memorials. When we were in Uvalde, they have a mural of every child and the teachers, and to be able to use public art not only to inspire and bring joy, but to remember in a very meaningful way. It's pretty spectacular.
I know we were in Scotland not too long ago, and every small town, didn't matter if it was only a town of 50, they had a World War II memorial or a World War I memorial.
Right.
And it just speaks to so much. It tells history. It brings people together. It's a gathering spot. It's for everybody, and we're all on a level playing ground where we get to experience it together, and that's the beauty of it.
Right.
And like what you guys were saying was, when you go travel to other places, oftentimes what brings you there is the art. If it's not, in my opinion, the nature, if it's not nature, it's the art.
well, we're going to put music in there.
Yes,
right?
Well, that's part of the arts.
Right. Well, and where was it? Was it Athens that has the sculpture noting the fiddlers contest?
I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
But there's also, I don't know, everywhere you go,
Right.
just look. It's almost like you could go on a scavenger hunt of Texas, and you'll see the history of Texas. You'll see the history of the towns. You'll see like I said, just the fun, joy, advertising. It's great.
Right.
No, it's beautiful. Yeah.
And so our impression is that this is a growing movement. Public art is a growing movement. Are we right or wrong on that?
Oh, absolutely. No,
Okay.
there's all sorts of support. And again, I believe this is why the state of Texas has given record giving towards arts, not only towards film, but public art. And there's acknowledgement that this is helping to build the culture. This helps attract people. So if you want to think on economic terms, people are attracted to it. When you go somewhere and you just stay in your hotel, you're not likely to come back and you're not likely to get out. But just us having the sculptures down in the Indian Springs Park, and then we have the zoo sculptures leading you down one way, you have scatterings. I believe we have, I lost count last time, 50 plus murals throughout our town. This helps create where people just want to get out and involved, and then they take pictures, and it just makes you want to get into it further. And when you want to get into it further, you're likely to bring your family back. You're likely to move to a place. There's so many times that corporations will build a factory, but sometimes I think that a hindrance is, well, I have to live here. I want to be happy. What's the livability impact? And public art helps you just enjoy it so much more. And so there's all sort of, it's an investment on so many levels.
It's remarkable the number of murals. We went to Baylor a while back.
A little bit.
And none of this was here.
Well, the one in East Waco was. I'm pretty
that
certain,
was.
right?
But the sculptures and the murals downtown, and I mean, we never came downtown. You know, we didn't cross the highway.
Right.
And so that's the other thing. I think public art encourages people to cross the highway, if you will, or to go across the bridge and to bring people together.
Well, and I just wonder, there's probably some sociologist or criminologist has done a study on it. I just wonder if it makes it safer.
That's a good thought.
Just because there is a certain respect that comes out of it. You don't hear about a lot of crimes in the Sistine Chapel.
They have guards.
Well, it is well guarded. I do remember that. But it just does seem it gives a different sort of, reverence is probably too big of a word for it, but I don't know. It just seems like it soothes things. It smooths the rough edges off society a little bit. So
I think one good example of that here in Waco is with East Waco, and the city actively invested in the Bridge Street, and Creative Waco has helped activate that space with our Levitt concert series, and this we're even having sculptures, temporary sculptures put up there, and people are starting who've never even crossed the bridge, like you had said.
Right.
There's an absolute divide with the suspension bridge, and there's so many people who would never even think to go to East Waco. And I remember a time when I would tell people like, "Hey, we're doing something in East Waco." Like, "Ooh, I don't know if that's where I would like to go." But now, when we do our surveys and we collect the data, we see the zip codes, and it's a lot of people from out in China Spring, Robinson, that had never even been to East Waco and to be able to appreciate it. And now we've had things like the Street Dog Cafe pop up. We had the Cambria Hotel, the Even Hotel, and there's more that's being activated.
Well, in the market, our farmers market moved over there, and the farmers market when we came was on the river, and then they moved it to in front of the courthouse. And I remember people after it got established there, and right before it moved over to Bridge Street, I heard some people talking about, I don't even know if people will be able to find or if they'll be able to go. And I went the second weekend was there. It was packed. And again, it brought people together, this art space. They had music going. People were walking around down there. And I do think art, it's a unifier.
Right. And I like to be a unifier, but I'm going to be an enjoyer because I can't sing, I can't play, I can't draw, but I can appreciate.
Yes.
And so we really...
There is one more thing. Are y'all involved in the street mural? Every year they have the street where
Chalk Waco?
Yes.
That's us.
Right.
That is so cool. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, our last one was in 2022. It's not a cheap project, but we did. That last project, it was we hired 50 artists, street artists, and we had art all along Austin Avenue and on the businesses. We paired artists with a sponsor, and we covered all of Austin Avenue with 50 different types of.
I loved
it. Was
it.
chalk art. It wasn't just simple chalk art for a chalkboard. We had spray chalk art, which is so cool, and it could last up to 30 days and just be pressure washed.
Well, it seemed like I remember them saying it lasts up to 30. It seemed like it lasted longer, right?
Some of it definitely, because the sun would bake it in there. But when it came to try to clean, pressure wash it off, it would come off.
So is there plans to do something like that again?
Oh, if you guys know a couple people in our county, because again,
I wish I could be that person because it was so much fun. And again, it was an event that brought people together. Well, I will tell you, at my little school, we encouraged our little ones to chalk up they go outside and they chalk on the fence and on the ground, and it's just cool to see what they come up with.
No, so. We had I think we hired 6 teenagers. They saw the opportunity, and we had 14, 15, 16-year-old. They showed us their portfolio, and they did some artwork within that, and they got paid for it too. And the beautiful thing about the Chalk Waco is it brought over 100,000 people to Waco.
Wow.
And again, just talk about the pride that we were an attractor. We had 3 markets that were selling different goods, and then the culmination was we had a fashion show, and there are fashion designers brought from different parts of the United States, and we turned 7th Street into this little runway and had this phenomenal fashion show. And when people think like, wait, we had this high-end
Fashion Week in Waco.
I missed the fashion show part, but bring it back. So if you have the funds to help with this,
Right. Julie.
Call Julie.
Okay, so that's a good segue. If people want to explore it a little bit more specifically in Waco, either because you're in the area or because your town wants to emulate some of that stuff, what are some of the social media's websites and things that they need to go to for Creative Waco?
We have our own website, Creative Waco, so we have a public art map. So if you want to just find the trail of all the artwork, if you're looking for an artist, we have a little bit of everything, a lot of the programming, because not only are we in charge of public art, but we do a lot of festivals, Chalk Waco. This year is our 5th year for the Dia de los Muertos Parade and Festival, the Levitt concert series, so we're behind a lot of it, and we have an amazing team who's helped build that up, and again, understand the communication component of it.
Okay, and is there an Instagram account or
Creative Waco?
it's all just under
all
at Creative Waco or
Nice and simple.
okay,
all right.
very
I like
simple.
that.
Right.
Well, I really want to encourage all of you who come to Texas, who live in Texas. We always say this: get off the main road, go discover these little towns. Waco has some great public art, but every town you go to has great public art. And it's one of the things that brings us the most joy when we travel.
Right. It's one of the first things we look for. Like I said, I'm big on high school football stadiums. I'm big on churches, theaters, and murals and sculptures. Like that, those are the big 4 for us when we look there. Julie, we want to thank you so much for being here today and for all you do for Waco, for the making us a creative epicenter, I guess. Right.
Who knew?
Right.
See, there's so much to learn about Waco,
Right.
but like I said, there's so much to learn about lots of towns.
And so if you want to know more about other towns, and we'll highlight murals and things like those, go to texas10.com. We'd love for you to subscribe to us, do all the social media things, like, comment, all the rest of it. But most of all, tell a friend.
And keep joining us here on Texas 10 and go find some great art.
Bye.
About you, and I love this land. It takes my breath away. From the Palo Duro to the Gulf Coast plain, from the heart of the hill country to the piney wood shade. I love this land. It takes my breath away.